All right, welcome into Talk Illini, part of Orange and Blue News of the On 3 Network celebration episode here as we are covering Stefan Vox being signed and committed. He isn't signed yet. He's going to sign with Illinois and everything that comes with that. Sonny and I are going to talk about the addition of Stefan Vox, what it means for the program, and then talk through a little bit of projection of the starting lineup. What could it look like? What are some guys to the transfer portal that if Illinois did land them, what would it look like if they came in here? But first, please do like and subscribe here to Talk Illini. Listen, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of April. It is a huge, lofty goal, but we think we can make it happen. We think you can help us make it happen. So help us get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Share the video, share it to your dog, share it to your father, share it to your grandfather. I don't care. Share it with people and tell them just hit that subscribe button, if nothing else. So help us out. We appreciate you doing that. We have Sonny Verma here with us once again to talk over the addition of Stefan Vox. Sonny, news came down Sunday afternoon of Stefan Vox to Illinois. Talked about this a little bit, kind of hinted at it in a few other videos. What was your first initial reaction to Vox committing to Illinois?
As an Illini fan, it's impossible not to be excited to know that this coaching staff is not just resting on their Final Four appearance. They've been to the promised land at this point, and they're very ardent about wanting to get back. And they're not, waiting around. They're not being passive about it. It's clear. Keaton Wagler announces that he's going to the NBA on Saturday, and on Sunday, they sign, or as you mentioned, they acquire what might be the Keaton Wagler replacement. And in a lot of ways, I think he can kind of fit in seamlessly to what Keaton was providing last year. And it's comforting. It may not be the big name that a lot of Illini fans have been waiting for, but I think the more that you get familiar with them, and if Illini fans just take some time and watch some tape of this Stefan kid, I really think they're going to like what they see. And then when you imagine what his skills are going to look like in the Brad Underwood offense and the Tyler Underwood offense, there's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the way that he is able to get to his spots, and obviously he's a mismatch type of dude. Illinois is going to have so much fun with trying to hunt mismatches with him. He's not going to be the same way that Keaton Wagler was hunting mismatches. Wagler would kind of go up against some bigger guys and blow by him a little bit. Vox definitely has that type of ability to do that, but I definitely think that Illinois is going to be trying to switch him on to smaller guards as much as they possibly can. You get a 6'7" Stefan Vox on a 6'1" type of guy, a team like Ohio State, both of their guys in the backcourt right now are both 6'1". That's a type of situation where you're not really going to be able to match up very well with Illinois. And that's much more common in college basketball today than it is uncommon at this point. So there's going to be a lot of mismatch hunting with Stefan Vox, what he's going to be able to do. And then obviously the shot making ability from the outside, he's going to bring that with him. He's going to bring a lot of NBA caliber talent to him, which is what I think probably attracted him the most here to Illinois, is that, hey, you have NBA caliber talent. You just have to, complete yourself as a player so you can get to the NBA. I'm honestly surprised he didn't enter to the NBA draft and, get some feedback or something like that before he comes back to college. So we'll see what that looks like. But overall, I think that Vox is a fantastic commitment for Illinois. I think they are going to be very satisfied with what he brings in. And I think he is going to slide in, I wouldn't say perfectly because it's not an exact comp, but very well into that Keaton Wagler score, kind of get the ball to a mismatch hunting type of role.
Yeah, you take a look at his stats for a not a very good Providence team, but he scored almost 16 points a game. He shot 8.5 3-pointers per game, and he shot it at a 35% clip. Now, when you think about that, 8.5, Providence didn't, how do I say this kindly, didn't have the offensive structure that Illinois has. And when you take a look at what the perceived weaknesses of Stefan are, it's some of his decision making. It's his unathleticism, let's put it that way, his lack of athleticism, and he's not exactly in shape. I think those type of things can be solved in Champaign. Can you imagine now, especially if he gets on to campus very early, he gets to work out with Adam Fletcher, and he gets to go under the dietary plan with Adam Fletcher. By the time fall rolls around, he's going to be losing a lot of the access weight, and I think when you talk about, how big this lineup was last year, right? The tallest team in the Power Four. they could be even bigger this year. Again, he's 6'7", 206 pounds. There's going to be some lineups out there, JR, where you're going to be starting the Avicic at center, David Mirkovic, and then 6'7" Andre at small forward, 6'7" Stefan at the 2, and then who knows, maybe a guy like, let's just say Blackwell at 6'4" at point guard, which we can discuss down the road. But you can see that Brad understands, and he's not a dummy. And he knows that, defensively, maybe Illinois hasn't been as proficient as they have been on offense. But there's one way to make up for a lack of defense. It's with size. And if you're tall and if you got length, then at least that can make up for it in a little bit. And I think that's just that there's a reason that Brad Underwood's kind of fall in love with the idea of just recruiting really tall guys.
Well, and another way that you fix defense is effort too. And I think that Stefan Vox, that was an issue for him at Providence, was it just didn't look like there was always 100% effort. And, a lot of people would look at that and say, well, that's a sign of him. But, so look at that Providence team. There wasn't a whole lot of effort across the board on defense for that entire team. This was a Providence team that knew they weren't going to do anything this season. This was a Providence team that Kim English was not coaching very well, just to be frank. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Maybe that's rude. I apologize, but just is what it is. He was not getting everything out of all of these players that he could possibly get. And when guys are not bought in and guys are not giving effort around you, it's really difficult to continue to give your most effort. But what is easier is when every single guy around you is giving maximum effort for you to also give maximum effort. And I can guarantee you, David Mirkovic is going to be giving maximum effort. I can guarantee you that Jake Davis is going to be giving maximum effort. This is a team that, even though they lose Kylan Boswell, culture was obviously very strong with him. I still think this is a team with really good culture, and I think David Mirkovic is going to be one of the guys that helps lead that culture next season. It's for Stefan Vox to come from a program that wasn't doing so hot at Providence to coming over here. We saw what happened with Andre Stojakovic coming from a place where it wasn't going all that hot at Cal and at Stanford. He comes into a program here where he actually sees some winning, and he says, you know what, maybe I will give some more effort on defense because it feels good to win.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of the weaknesses, the perceived weaknesses on Vox is his defense. But I brought this up on my Locked On show. When you talk about Ben Humrickhouse, when he committed to the Illini 2 years ago, it was, he's a great 3-point shooter, but he's not a very good rebounder and he doesn't play very good defense. Even when we got excited a year ago about Andre Stojakovic signing with the Illini, the idea was, he's a great offensive player. On defense, he gets a couple block shots, but he's not really a great defender. But look what Andre turned into. Ben Humrickhouse turned into an above-average defender this past season. And so I think as long as the mindset is right with Stefan, and we know Illinois does a very thorough job when it comes to these cognition tests and trying to figure out where a player is mentally. If Stefan's willing to to at least give forth effort on the defensive side, I think Brad can get him to the level to be an average, maybe above average. So, we kind of talked about potential NBA aspirations. Well, Stefan has that skill and that ability and that size to be a guy who only plays 1 year in Champaign because he had such an outstanding year that he might get noticed by NBA scouts. But the way for him to do that is to clean up his diet and learn to play a little bit better, better defense and rebound the ball. And if there's one thing that we know Brad Underwood's going to make you do, it's rebound the ball. Otherwise, you're not getting off the bench.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, even Keaton Wagler last season, he was not the best rebounder in the world. He was solid at it. I would say. I wouldn't say he was bad or anything like that. But you also weren't asking him to be the best rebounder in the world. Andre Stojakovic, David Mirkovic, Thomas Love, obviously Big Z. These guys were taking care of a lot of the offensive rebounds. Jake Davis in on that as well. So this is a situation where, I do think the rebounding needs to improve, but I'm not as concerned about that as maybe I would be if we saw one of these other players that we perceive as going to be returning next season maybe not be here. And Sonny, that is the perfect segue into the discussion of the projected starting lineup for next season. Let's talk about What do we think this lineup looks like with Stefan Vox in it? I said on the last show when I was talking about Keaton Wagler being NBA bound, I expect personally David Mirkovic, Big T, Big Z to all be back next season. Even Jake Davis, I expect to be back. Could we have maybe one or two surprises in there? I mean, maybe. You never know. Things can happen and things always change. But as of right now, I feel like all those guys are going to be back. So it's going to be an interesting situation with how that works out. Do you have the same feeling as me, or are you kind of looking at some of these guys and saying, maybe they're not all going to be here?
No, I think the writing is on the wall in a lot of sense of like all the guys that Illinois have been rumored to be linked with or to have had conversations with. If you notice, they're all guards, and there's a reason for that. It's because before today, you had Mihailo Petrovic enter the transfer portal. You had Tony Bilic enter the transfer portal. You had Keaton Wagler entered the NBA draft, and we know Kylan Boswell, he's graduated. What does that mean? That there's no returning guards except for maybe Brandon Lee. And so I think the fact that they've been linked to so many guards, and yet we haven't really heard any names in connection in regards to the front court, tells me that Brad and the staff feel pretty confident that the Balkan three, as I like to refer to them, are going to be coming back. I think Andre, maybe I'm a little less sure of, but not to the point of I'm unsure of, if that makes sense. I just think I'm less certain compared to the other three. I think Andre may have his eyes on, going to those NBA draft combines and trying to get some feedback. But ultimately, I think he's been so vocal about how much he's enjoyed his time here at Illinois and in Champaign. And before we started recording, him and David were live streaming together, and I believe it was in Sacramento. So, like the friendship is there, the buzzword that you mentioned earlier, the culture. I think he's found a home when it comes to college. So if he decides to play college, I think it's going to be at Illinois. Who knows when it comes to the NBA aspirations he might have. Jake Davis is another guy who I thought would probably be the first one to commit, or at least announce that he was running it back. He hasn't yet. I think my hope is he doesn't have, starting aspirations, like he needs to start, and that's a condition, because I think the team can probably upgrade at that level. But if you're talking about Jake Davis being your seventh guy, maybe eighth guy off the bench in your rotation, backing up guys like Andrej Stojakovic and Stefan Vaaks, I think that's a really strong option. And you're talking about one of the deepest rotations in the country. There's just that one big black hole that we still have, and that's the point guard spot.
Well, but as we know, Illinois has been able to maybe not have the most traditional point guard in the world, and they've been able to get through it. So this is definitely a situation where I'm with you. Like I want the point guard spot to be solved as well, but this is one of those situations where, I mean, we've had it past 2 or 3 years where it's like somebody will be the primary ball handler of this team, and who knows, maybe David Mirkovic. That's a discussion with him that maybe he is going to be getting some more ball handling type of ability or type of opportunities out there. We'll see how it works out, but overall, I mean, I think at this point you really trust Brad Underwood and his decision making and what he's putting out there. So I'm with you. We haven't heard a whole lot of rumors on forwards and big men and stuff like that, so I feel pretty good about those guys. In the backcourt, Stefan Vox back there, either going to play the 1 or the 2, whatever it might be. You probably have Jake Davis, David Mirkovic, Big T, Andrej Stojakovic. Those are guys that are going to, kind of have the front court there for you. Quentin Coleman is obviously the big topic to be there next to Stefan Vox, but there's also some opportunities for some other guys in the transfer portal that Illinois is going after, one of them being one of the most talked about transfers out there, John Blackwell. Sonny, what are your thoughts on John Blackwell and the potential of Illinois getting both him and Stefan Vox?
I mean, I don't think Illinois is going to be any less aggressive. Whether John wants to come to Champaign, that's going to be a decision he has to make. But from everything I've heard, the feedback I've gotten, and I think some of the premium sources will say the same thing, that Illinois was very aggressive in getting into John's ear before all of this started, and I don't think anything has changed. I don't think the acquisition of Stefan changes their mindset on John in any sort of way. If anything else, if John is serious about winning, about trying to make it beyond the first weekend, as he claims to be, if he wants to win a championship, well, Illinois is proving that not only last year they were in the Final Four, but this year they're not resting on just that they're acquiring as much talent from the 1 through 15 roster, and with the aspirations of not just being content with being a Final Four team, But the following year, hey, let's go to the national championship. Let's just go ahead and win it all. And I just think that with John, with his father Glenn, being the guy, what a storybook ending that would be for the Blackwell family, that their son comes to Illinois and finally leads the dad's alma mater to a national championship, being the first national champion ever from this Illinois team. And I think it's all there for him. It's just, does John want it?
I got to tell you, I think there's a lot of people out there that are looking at this and saying, okay, Illinois got Vox, Blackwell's going to be going to Duke or something like that. I mean, call it a hot take if you want, but I think getting Vox might help you with John Blackwell in this situation, because what does John Blackwell want? He wants to go win, right? He spent 3 years at Wisconsin, and those were 3 good years. It's not like he was bad there or anything like that, but those were also years where you didn't make it far in the NCAA tournament. If we're just being honest here, I mean, yeah, Duke has made it far in the NCAA tournament, but it's almost like they're snake bit. I mean, they can't win it all. And John Scheyer is a young coach who's still trying to find it a little bit. I think John Scheyer is going to be a really good coach, but he's still trying to find it a little bit. He's had some high highs. He's had some low lows. Like, it is what it is. A guy like Brad Underwood, he's been around the block. He's shown multiple different stops at multiple different places that he's a really good coach. And you see all this returning talent. You see a guy in your backcourt with you and Vox that can be a mismatch hunter type of dude to go after you. I think the question right now is what matters most to John Blackwell? Is it going out and winning, being around a team that maybe you're not the number one option, but you could be the number one option? Or is it going to a school that's going to pay you, millions upon millions of dollars and say, you're our number one dude, but, maybe they don't have as many veterans and returning players as Illinois does? Because as much as Duke is a crazy talented team and they're great and they're always going to be in the national championship race, it seems like, because of that, they're also a team that's very young, basically all the time. In today's world of college basketball, I think you need to have some more age to you. And having a guy like Vox, who's going to be 21 this season, Andre, David Mirkovic, Tomislav Visic, other guys in your starting lineup who are older as well. I think if Brad Underwood sells us the right way, as long as they're competitive with the NIL that Duke is out there with and the connection with his dad and everything, and his dad playing here, I actually think Illinois might be in a better position than they were before.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I have a lot of people in the Talk Illini Discord say, but why would he pick Duke? And, I feel like I have to humble our fans a little bit. It's like, it is Duke. It's the bluest of blue bloods. They've got unlimited pockets. So ultimately, if he does decide to go to Duke, I wish him well, I guess. But if, as you mentioned, if he's serious about his last year in college basketball being about winning, and possibly developing, to have the ball in his hands more, just so that he can look more appealing to NBA draft scouts. Well, I think this Illinois team is almost built perfectly for him, because, again, if John Blackwell decides to commit to Illinois, you're at minimum, I feel like I'm being conservative here, it's a preseason top 5. More closer to top 3, potentially the number 1 preseason team going into next year if John decides to make Champaign his home. And as you mentioned, with the addition of Vox, you can continue your 5-out offense, just shooters surrounding John. John will be able to attack the basket, similar to what Keaton Wagler did last year, and Will Riley did the year before, and Terrence Shannon did the year before that. Illinois has become almost a guard factory when it comes to producing talent and bumping it up to the NBA level. And if John is serious about that, he can do both things at Illinois. He has the chance to win a national championship, and he has a chance to be around really good coaches who have a proven record at this point that they can get your name announced at the NBA draft.
Very true. Love that analysis from you, Sonny. Let's end it here with just really quick rapid fire. Any other backcourt names or anything? Obviously, everybody wants to talk about John Blackwell, and so we've talked about him and gave our analysis there on that. But any other backcourt names? Not saying it won't or anything like that, but say it doesn't work out with John Blackwell. Are there any names or any types of players that you think Illinois might pivot to?
Again, we know size matters with this Illini staff. I really do believe they're going to go all out on trying to bring John. I know he let that date, May 4th or something like that he wanted to make his announcement. I feel pretty confident that John's going to make his announcement. Or maybe he may not make his announcement, but the college that he picks is going to know sooner than May 4th. But if it doesn't work out with John, I truly do believe there's probably just another European kid out there that Misko, the super agent out there, can send over to the Illini. Remember, it was just a year and 1 day ago, or no, a year and 2 days ago, John, JR, that you and I did a rapid reaction to David Mirkovic committing to the Illini. And who was this guy? We had no idea. Mihailo Petrovic committed to Illinois out of nowhere, out of the blue. And that was the week we were wooing Andrei Stojakovic, and they were having those wine nights back in the patio, jokingly. And so it's like one of those where with this staff is so good at keeping secrets and working, under the radar, that our starting point guard, there's a chance that we may have never heard of him yet. But that doesn't, this staff has shown you that doesn't mean it's a bad player.
Exactly. Two things really fast before we get out of here. May the 4th be with you on John Blackwell coming to Illinois. That's for sure. And then, we probably need to do a little bit of analysis on this. Misko, that's just like the best agent name in the world, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's
you tell somebody your agent's name is Misko, like you're getting paid immediately.
Yeah, 100%. That's definitely a guy that you want on your side.
Yeah, like I no offense to people out here named this one, but if you tell me like your agent's named Tyler, I'm like, okay, not great. No offense to Tylers out there. I just don't think you're probably going to make it in the agent world. Maybe you will, but change your name to Misko and you might have some more opportunities there. Anyway, we'll end the episode here before I insult another name out there. We appreciate everybody listening and watching here at Talk Illini, part of Orange and Blue News of the On3 Network. Please do like, subscribe, help us to get to those 1,000 subscribers. As I've said here before, guys, the more you like, the more you watch, the more you subscribe, the more Sonny and I are motivated to give you guys more content, give you guys more videos, all that kind of stuff. So if you do that, we would greatly appreciate it, and it would definitely give us more motivation to keep sending out the content to you guys here on Talk Illini, talking Illinois basketball, Illinois football, all the good stuff out there. We appreciate it. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.